Fire away.
What's up, fool? Podcast with Felipe Esparza right here, and no Rodrigo. That fool in Las Vegas didn't even tell us he was gonna go over there. I got a text yesterday. I sent him a picture of Alfred Robles and a matchup of Paulie from Rocky. Whatever, man, and they look alike, man. So then I asked him, "Where you at?" And he said, "I'm in Las Vegas with Edwin San Juan." But I thought, that I don't know, I thought, like he was gonna come back and hang out with us on Wednesday. I didn't get a message like, put it this way, man. I didn't think that fool was gonna be there all week. That's something you gotta tell somebody a week ahead of time. Hey, man, I know you're a forgetful guy. The drugs have affected you bad. I'm telling you, this morning I'm going to be in Las Vegas, and I'm going to call you at 4:20 and remind you again I'm going to be in Las Vegas. So we don't know where the hell he's at. So what? We need him here for the big laugh. We'll add the laugh track for him.
If they're in Vegas, they can go see me.
But if you're in Las Vegas, go check out Rodrigo Torres. He's opening up for Edwin San Juan at Planet Hollywood. It's an event. They give away prizes for the best old Filipino face looking person. You gotta make like a ninja face, like a ninja turtle face, because that's Edwin's face, and you win a prize. You win tickets to go see the show again on Monday. He does shows 7 days a week at that place. 7 days a week, people, okay? He's like a comedian migrant worker. They'll get you somehow. He's doing 7 days. That means he's working Monday through Monday. 1 hour show with an opening a feature. And he has to live in Las Vegas. Man, I don't like that deal. I remember one time this comedian named Eric Griffin had a deal like that at the Haha Cafe. He was hosting every Saturday for the rest of his life for $60. Luckily, Workaholics came along and he didn't have to do that dump again. I remember one time I started arguing with the owner from the Haha Cafe, Terry, and I asked her, "Man, what's up with that deal you gave Eric Griffin to host $60 a month for a month of comedy?" She goes, "Are you making fun of my club?" I said, "No, man, I'm making fun of bad decisions in comedy." Anyway, so we're back, people. Upcoming shows. I'll be at December 10th, one night only, in Sacramento at Harlow's nightclub. There's only 40 tickets left, but if you're listening to this on Saturday, there ain't no more tickets. It's done. Harlow's, December 10th, with Toby Hicks and maybe Rodrigo Torres. We decided if we're going to take him or not, since he didn't call in. Everybody, if you're listening to this show, hashtag Rodrigo, call in, fool. Call in, fool. All right. January 5th through the 8th, I'll be in Pleasanton, California at Tommy T's. That's right, Tommy T's. Used to be a steakhouse. Then nobody started buying steaks. Now they're just a comedy club. January 14th, Miami, Florida at James Knight Center. Sound like a Klan meeting. No, but it's a theater. James Knight Center. I'll be a guest on Mike Epps' tour. So I guess I'm going first. January 21st, Los Angeles, California at the Novo Theater, formerly the Nokia, formerly an empty lot in downtown LA. Los Angeles, California. 2 shows with a surprise comedy guest, people. Surprise. So surprised that if I mention his name, I got to give him an extra $1,000, so I'm not going to mention his name. I'm just kidding, man. You know how it is. All right. Atlanta, Georgia. I'm coming back to the Punchline. The Atlanta Punchline is the original Punchline, people. Not to be confused by the place that doesn't book me in San Francisco. The San Francisco Punchline. Not to be confused by that place, the San Francisco Punchline, who has not booked me since 2012. And I remember I went talking a lot of shit on Facebook and Twitter about, because somebody asked me, how come, Felipe, you don't get booked at the San Francisco Punchline? Because over there they practice a thing called liberal racism, where they only book Latino comedians that look happy, like El Madrigal, who's a local guy from San Francisco. He gets booked there all the time, and and Cristela Alonso, safe comedians. They don't book comedians like Felipe Esparza or Earthquake. But I talked so much shit 2 years ago that now they do. You get to see Jeff Garcia over there now. You get to see Willie Barcena, but you don't get to see me. Why? Because I took one for the team, people. I talk so much shit that girl who books the comedy club went to go talk to my old agent, Tim Scally, and asked him, how come you don't book, why did Felipe say I don't book comedians like him? And he responded, because you don't. So that's why I'm banned or no consideration. And then I did a show, a big-ass show, that started after the sun went down. And it was it was a big show, man, like a big show. I don't know the comedians that were there. Gabriel Iglesias, Cristela Alonso, Russell Peters, Mike Epps headlined. So many big comedians. Roberts, Dave Roberts, Eric Roberts, Ali Roberts. He's the Black Comics. Tony Roberts, yes, he went on stage. And I met the guy who runs the whole show, Jeff Wills, who works for the Punchline, but he's big now. Live Nation. And I got booked at the last minute for this show. And they were thanking me, Felipe, thank you for accepting this show. I know you were busy, but I wasn't. And he said, do you want anything out of this? Can I do you a favor? I said, yeah, man. Book me to San Francisco Punchline. Wow. So years went by, nothing happened. So that's when I started that little San Francisco Punchline, Felipe Esparza beef, which is the beef is not with the people of San Francisco or the stand-up comics who get booked there, but I got to say something, what's up with that, man? I got to get a television show to get booked on that show. Yes, I will. I do have a pilot that's being written right now, but by that time, I will need to get booked. I'll probably do a theater with, not with the Punchline, but with somebody else. So anyway, people, you want to start another beef, there's your beef. Hit up the Punchline in San Francisco. What's up with Felipe Esparza not getting booked? And it doesn't even matter no more because you know what? At my level, I'm not burning bridges. I'm tearing them down and adding my own bridge. Okay, people, that's how we do. I build bridges. I make bridges. All right, enough of that. So, January 27th, I'll be at the Atlanta, Georgia Punchline. And that's it, people. That's where I'll be. Enough of that. Thanksgiving was awesome. I was in Morro Bay, California. I decided to stay away from Black Friday and my family. It's never good, I don't want to talk politics in my family, even though everybody there was probably voting for Hillary. But, I didn't vote for anybody because I can't vote. You can't vote with criminal record, or you can't vote if you're not an American citizen. Even though your wife is American, that doesn't count. But I could have voted, but I didn't. I probably wouldn't have never know who to vote for. I probably would just vote these nuts like everybody else. So, what's up, fool? Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Shout out to everybody who was having a good Thanksgiving. A lot of people had to work. I seen those sad faces at Target. Man, I took a picture with a guy who works at Target, and the man that fool had a sad face. Then he put the photo up on Instagram. He said, fuck this place, don't shop here. I used to work retail, man, and let me tell you, man, it's not the greatest job in the whole wide world. My first retail job was at Newberry's on Atlantic Square. Wow. Damn, bro, old school, huh? And man, I was supposed to be cashier of that place. But I ended up being the guy that walks around with a vest picking up stuff that people didn't put away. Like a purse that someone left by the shoes, or potato chips that someone left by the bathroom. Stuff like that. I was a walking job fair, people. I trip out on some sayings that people say, man, that have no meaning nowadays. When people used to say when something really easy, don't worry, bro, it's a walk in the park. But if you grew up where I grew up, that doesn't sound so easy, man. What park are you talking about, man? Are you talking about Hollenbeck Park at night with Third Street gangs there? Come on, man. That's not a walk in the park in the daytime or nighttime. Or a walk in the park in Echo Park in 1996, forget about it, bro. Or a walk in the park at Lake at midnight where everybody was selling PCP. I just made that up, man. I didn't even know they sold PCP over there. They probably did. What's up, fool? Oh, man. We have a guest today, man. Long story short, in 1991 or 92, I was sent to, I was sent. I was in a sent. I had no choices. I was thrown into a corner. Or, it's funny, when you get thrown into a corner, you know, there's nowhere to go. I don't know why people like living in cul-de-sacs, because there's nowhere to go there either. What happened, bro? Oh, man, I was pushed into a cul-de-sac. And what happened? Oh, I had a choice. Run and fight or jump off the gate and run inside the 5 freeway. Okay, I live in Commerce. The city of Commerce. So I went into rehab, and right away, I got a job in the rehab cooking because I wanted to eat. Because I remember I met this old veterano inside rehab. He said, bro, if you ever get hungry, make sure if you're ever on the run, get a job at a restaurant and you always get to eat there. That way you don't have to worry about buying groceries. To just go back to work and eat other food. So I was there chilling, man, and at this rehab, it was like non-denomination, but it was basically a lot of Christians and one Muslim and one crazy Armenian and one Mormon. That fool read from a book called Adam. I don't know what that was, but it was for kids of alcoholics. So we all were together, and we couldn't really listen to regular music like KRLA or K-Earth or 97.5 KLOS, you know, stuff like that. We had to listen to Christian music. But a lot of us didn't have Christian music. All we had was one tape. All we had was one tape. And we listened to that tape back and forward. So I got to listen to it. I memorized it. And the singer on the tape was some dude named Willie G. And I say, all right, Willie G. I didn't know who Willie G was, but I knew I heard of the name before I was in rehab from the old veteranos. They used to hang out outside my porch for hours on Friday night, man, and listen to oldies but goodies all night and yell loud, Cuatro Flats! I don't know why, but that was the name of the gang. But they would yell out their gang names, but I don't know. That was the gang, 4th Street. And these dudes were, man, they were in Pendletons, man. It was like living in that movie Blood In, Blood Out. But they were all thugs, man, and they were all doing drugs. And they would listen to the oldies but goodies. And they would listen to the Thee Midniters. But I thought it was The Midniters, so I looked it up the other night. It's Thee Midniters with 2 E's and no G. It's MIDNITERS. So this guy, who I used to listen to his music, when these guys were out there doing dope and partying and walking like zombies, I would listen to his music now in rehab too. I never got to listen to his music partying like everybody else. I got to watch people party and listen to his music, and then when I ended up in rehab, I listened to Willie G and the Midniters. But in this tape, he wasn't singing oldies but goodies. He was singing gospel, Christian music. But it was tight, man. It was like, he was like singing and then giving you a little message about his life, about like a little tribute, a little biography about his life. So he'll stop singing and then he'll show a little bit about his life. And that's something I never heard before. Like, that's something that only comedians do nowadays. Like, they'll tell you a joke and then they'll tell you where the joke came from. Or usually, like myself, my comedy is more like what I heard. It's just like what I'm telling you about my life, plus I add a little comedy twist to it. But I started listening to it, and that's all I had. So I got to know the songs. And this is one of the songs I heard. People, if you look them up on the Wikipedia, they'll tell you these were the Mexican, the Chicano Beetles of East LA. And we have here the lead singer and one of the founders of this band. And before I introduce him, I ran into him at a show I did in the city, in City Hall, the Chamber of Commerce. And he was there to introduce him. And I said, what? 180 here. We at the same spot. Two guys, one guy that, that was sharing his life to me over the cassette. And we're here together again. And he knew who I was, which even makes it more exciting. I got my nipples were hard. I got the goosebumps. I got chills. I turned into a little girl or a little boy who just met Andrew the Giant. And the song started playing again. And I felt like Wayne's World when they meet Alice Cooper. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. So, man, we have right here Willie G, people, from East LA, Salesian High School. When you talk about, man, that East Side sound, where it all started, it started right here, man. Right left to me right here, Mr. Willie G. Tell us, bro. Tell us your story. We got listeners all over the world. We got Glenn Carlin in Ireland. We got Cleo in Amsterdam over there eating fries with mayonnaise. We got Coop, the comedian in Canada. We got this fool right now in Saudi Arabia, Chicano in Saudi Arabia living over there. We got these two chicks from Morocco who are Muslim, who wear the Muslim dresses. They quote Blood in, Blood Out because they love the whole Latino Chicano lifestyle, which you guys started. That's very popular right now. What's up, fool? We got Willie G here in the house.
Hey,
Good to have you.
Felipe. Thanks for having me, man. Wow. That's a interesting
Intro.
bio. Yeah. Interesting, my brother. Cool. I had no idea you were in rehab.
Yes, I was in Live Again Recovery Homes
All right,
with
cool.
Pastor Juan Higuera.
All right.
We were there in Saugus. We were actually in Winnetka first, right there by the ranches.
Uh-huh.
Then we got too many people, and we merged with another. That's funny. We merged with another rehab in Fresno that he had. It was North and South. And it was the first time North and South got together in a rehab.
Wow.
And yeah, it was
Interesting.
fun, man.
See, Jesus can do anything.
Anything.
That's
man.
what he does. He brings people together.
I can't believe it, man. Like when you were talking about on your show, like when I was listening to this song, you would stop midway, and then you would tell the listener, which was me, and this was a live show. This was a live show, because in between the in between takes, you would say, Mike, can you check the levels, please? That's how you know a show is really live, people. No BS. You might say, oh, this show was live. No, man. If it's a show real live, there's always technical difficulties. And you left them in there. Check the levels, please.
Yeah,
So where it all began for you, man, as a young child?
It began for me in South Central L.A.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I went to school on 34th and Central, St. Patrick's, the Catholic school right there, with my two brothers. And it was there that I met Edgar Skaggs, Ron G. of Southern, and Blake Madison. And we used to sing in the bathroom. Little chavalillo singing in the bathroom because of the echo.
The best sound, bro, like in that show White Shadow,
There you go.
when they used to sing it in the showers.
There you go. And so that's where it began for me. My older brother, Güero, Frank Garcia,
He was dark, huh?
he was the one that he got in everywhere because he was Güero. It's a white man's world. And he's the one that one day pulled me in to the bedroom because he noticed that I was starting to come home later and later from school because I would walk through the alley with the guys from 38th Street and smoke Camels and Lucky Strikes. And so he pulled me in one day and he sat me down and he was playing the guitar. And he told me, you need to learn this because I can't play and sing at the same time. That's what he told me. But I heard him play and sing at the same time for years. But that's what he told me, and I learned this song, and I liked it. So instead of hanging out with the guys, I'd come home right after school, hoping he'd be home so I could learn the guitar and sing. And that's what started it off. And then Blake, Edgar, and Ron Gio, we got together. We were 9 years old, and we did a talent show at the Elks Club right there on Jefferson and Central. And we won. That was it, man. I got the bug.
9 years old, you got one. Would you guys win? Ovaltine.
$20.
Wow, $20.
$20, man. $5 each.
That's a lot of money, man.
It was a lot of
1959.
money, brother. And I remember we went to Stella Burger, and we bought some chili fries and a cheeseburger, and then we walked over to Dolphins of Hollywood on Vernon and Central record store, and I bought my first 78. For those of you that don't know, that was a record.
A record.
It was a record.
A 78, that was a speed, huh?
Yeah. And
78, 33, and 45, so 78 is fatter.
the 78 was thicker.
Thicker, huh?
And it was huge, man. It was about maybe a foot in diameter.
You gotta wind it up, huh? The consola.
If you had a Victrola, yeah, because that's where you played them mostly. Because Western Auto and Pep Boys, they weren't selling those little record players yet. Zodi's was, yeah.
Zodi's.
Nobody could afford to go to Zodi's.
Zodi was like Best Buy back then.
Yeah, Simon and White Front.
White Front.
They're competitors. They're competitors. But anyway, I bought my first 78 record. I remember it was on the Ember label. And it was a song by the Silhouettes called Get a Job.
Get a job. Da na 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 na. Get a job. Da na 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 na.
So that was and that became our mantra. Get a job. So as kids, we hustled, and I got to do a lot of shows. My brother introduced me to a lot of musicians, and eventually I went to Salesian High School that had one of the best music departments in Southern California, headed up by Professor Bill Taggart. And that's where I met Romeo Prado, the architect of the Midnighter sound. And eventually we just morphed. We weren't the Midnighters immediately. We were the Gentiles.
The Gentiles.
In Boyle Heights, right? In Boyle Heights, we were the Gentiles. Because our drummer, Jerry Ainsworth, right? He was an Orthodox Russian Jew. And every Wednesday when we would pick him up for rehearsal, we could hear his father, who was a rabbi, "Jerry, what's the matter with you? Hanging around with those Gentiles. They're unclean." And so then we, as a dig to his old man, we called the band the Gentiles.
Wow.
That's where it all began for me, Felipe.
Wow, man. So you perform at, I remember my wife and I, we went to a record store right there in, not within a record store, it's a bookstore. I think it's called the Nightlight or the Skylight bookstore on Los Feliz area by the movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
And they have a book there, and it's called the history of East Side music, of East Side. And it has all the clubs that you get performed at. Like one of the clubs that you get performed at was the CSO.
The CYO.
CYO, yeah.
Yeah.
And then another place in Commerce that people have weddings there now, but that was a hot spot.
Yeah, the Little Union.
The Little Union.
The Little Union on Goodrich.
On Goodrich.
Yeah.
And that ended up, a lot of people have weddings there now, wedding receptions.
Yeah.
So you guys, you started the Midnighters, and when was the big break?
The big break for us was Bill Taggart, once again, the music teacher. He found out that we were playing in nightclubs, nightclubs, little dives along Whittier Boulevard and along Atlantic and Olympic, the Paradise, Bocce's Club, Millie's, on Whittier Boulevard. And Lito's Cork Room on Olympic. And he he sat us down, man. He got real stern with us. He said, "What's the matter with you guys, man? If your parents find out you guys are playing in those clubs, they're going to take you out of the band, out of the school band, right?" And so he was really worried about that, right? And
'Cause you were underage playing.
oh,
these
we
clubs.
were underage, bro. We were 15, 16 years old, painting mustaches on. Because the lights in the clubs, it's dark in there, right? But we weren't fooling nobody, I mean, but we were working, right? We enjoyed the work and get a job. So what he did, man, he came up with this idea, man, that rock and roll shows. He says we're gonna do rock and roll shows. So every Sunday, tardeadas, right, at Lourdes, Our Lady of Lourdes, right there on 3rd Street and Rowan. He put on these rock and roll shows, man, and all the little local bands, right, wanted to be in these shows. And he actually gave us a platform. The first 2 years were at Lourdes, and then in 1963, people wouldn't fit in the little auditorium at Lourdes anymore. He moved it to East LA College Auditorium, where we could squeeze in 2,500 people, right? And the first big show there was in 1963, and he recorded those shows. And in 1964, the big break came for us. We were on that show, and we were supposed to back up Cannibal and the Headhunters. And they got stuck in the fog coming from Fresno, from the Rainbow Ballroom in Fresno. And they didn't make it. We finished our set, and we're looking in the wings, and Bill Taggart's going, "Keep going. They're not here. Keep going." And we looked at each other. We didn't know what to do, High school kids, we didn't know what to do. We're looking at each other, and the only songs that we had tight were the songs that we rehearsed with Cannibal and the Headhunters. And one of those songs was Land of a Thousand Dances, and we did it. The crowd went crazy, man. Our manager released it that week.
Wow.
The live recording of it. And, of course, Cannibal and the Headhunters came back. We told them, and they had already tracked it. They had to put their vocals on it. And they released it as well. And it became a phenom in East LA, brother, because our fan base, Cannibal's fan base and our fan base, they started calling all the radio stations. So both versions of Land of a Thousand Dances went up the charts together. And we used to crack up about it because we used to back up Cannibal a lot,
I never knew that. I never knew that because I knew both. I just didn't. Wow, that's good history right there. They were both released around the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And they added vocals to it. Wow. And you have been practicing.
Yeah, we used to back them up. They're not the Cannibal and the Headhunters were not a band. They were a four-man singing group, a quartet. And so it wasn't unusual for the bands that were doing the gigs to back up the singing groups. Like the Salas brothers, they eventually joined the Jaguars, because they needed a band. A singer's only as good as his band.
So Salas brothers became the Jaguar, then they became Tierra later on?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Jaguars existed.
Zapata's dad.
Robert Zapata. Was he in that kind of Headhunter, right?
No, that came way after.
That came after, huh?
Way after that. You're talking 90s,
Oh.
2000. They came, in the 90s. I remember when Cannibal passed away, God rest his soul. And they were like putting a band together to go start doing shows, right? And that's how Robert Zapata came into that group. Really good drummer. I mean, they're out working as Cannibal and the Headhunters today.
So wow, that's amazing. And you guys were little, man, just kids. You guys were like the in sync of the neighborhood.
That's funny.
Yeah, and because, wow, 2,500 people.
Yeah.
And not just kids, adults too, right?
Yeah, it was a mixed crowd. I mean, that was the cool thing about what we did. If we liked the song, we learned it, like The Town I Live In,
Yeah.
Mackenzie Mitchell wrote that song. I heard it coming through Texas on a low-powered radio station. You could only get these stations like in the middle of the night for 15 minutes, and then you'd lose them, right? And
back to gospel.
there you go. And so I heard snippets. I heard The Town I Live In. I heard Sad Girl, and so I brought those songs back, and it's great for us because we got to introduce some great songs to an audience that maybe wouldn't have never heard.
Never.
these songs. You know, they would have stayed regional in Texas and Louisiana. You know,
So the town that I live in is Lonely. It was written by who?
McKinley Mitchell.
And it probably had Lonely released in that area, huh?
At first.
At first.
At first. And then because we hadn't recorded it yet, we were just
Doing it.
doing it live in our shows. People would go to the Record Inn or to the Record Rack or Dolphins of Hollywood, and they would ask for it, right, by the Midniters. And they'd look, they didn't have computers back then. They had these big old books that pages were yellow. They were so old. And they would open them up, right, and try to find to see if they had it in stock. And they said, well, we have it, but we have it like To Be With You by Joe Cuba and the Sextet. And they would play it. And they go, yeah, that's the song they sang. So Joe Cuba became very popular in East LA because we did To Be With You, right? So we introduced a lot of great music to an audience that I think a lot of groups maybe wouldn't have never got
Oldies but goodies.
heard. Yeah, they're oldies now, but when we did them,
They were new.
They were fresh. You know, they're fresh today.
I could imagine that, like, here you are, like, you heard this song on the way to Texas, and you loved it, but then, like, but for somebody to, like, hear it for the first time, you know, a young dude your age, also coming from you, it sounds like brand new. It's like you're landing on the moon again.
There you go.
It's like you're bringing it to them, and then when they find out, like, that someone else wrote it, you start liking it even more now.
Yeah.
Because now you like both styles. Like, when I grew up in the 80s, and I love ska, right? I used to love the specials. That song, Guns of Navarone. And then later on, as an adult, you know, the internet, I found out that song was written by the Skylights in 1966. And it's the same song as Guns of Navarone. But then I found out Guns of Navarone is a movie.
Yeah.
I know.
It was a theme, yeah.
It's a theme,
Yeah.
man. Da, 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 whatever.
Cool.
So you do the Cannonball on the Run. So, man, what happened next? Fame or touring?
Well, for us, yeah.
Your
I
dad
mean,
telling you, cabrón, get in the house?
oh, bro.
Can finish high school?
You
You
know-
gotta get a job at Sears. What's wrong with you? That was my dad would always tell me, man. No. It's a comedy. It's para los negros. It's para los white people.
Yeah,
Comedy,
you know-
all that lifestyle entertainment is not for you. We have to work. Mexicans have to work. You know, we didn't come here to be actors.
I think what was cool is it's like we always worked. You know, our parents didn't have to tell us to mow the lawn or take out the trash. You know, if it needed to be done, you
It had
just
to be done.
You just did it. You know, you didn't have to hear, you know, very often. Wait till your dad gets home.
I know.
You know, from your mom. I mean, we worked.
Sometimes we don't know when he's gonna go home.
We hustled, man. We shined shoes. We sold newspapers. You know, we would buy old Model A's, you know, in Compton and Watts from Mr. Pruitt. He had a junkyard, and he would call us, you know, hey, I got a car y'all might be interested in. And we'd go buy a Model A for $20, $15. We'd bring it home. We'd get it running. We'd clean it up. And we would take it to Southgate or Downey and sell it to the gabachos who were making hot rods, right?
For $250.
Well, not quite that much, but, you know, $50, you know, $70. We'd double our money or better. You know, and that's how we did. We hustled. That's how we got our first cars también, you know. I remember my first car was a 38 Chevrolet Businessman Coupe. It was ugly. It was an ugly car, Felipe, but it was mine. You know what I mean? It was mine, man. And I had a car, man. I drove it to school. I drove it everywhere.
How old were you?
Oh, man, I was 13 years old.
13 years old, driving with
Yeah.
a car, man.
Yeah, playing Pop
You-
Warner football.
Even right now, you could still get other ladies. You're
What are they,
13 with
bro?
a car.
I was the only guy in Pop Warner football, man, that would drive to Downey Playground. I'd show up, I'd drive there in my car, get
So I
up,
got a
put my,
scholarship already.
put on my shoulder pads and go practice.
Wow.
But that's what we did, man. You know, it was fun. It was a really a formative period for us growing up. You know, we were in car clubs. We had the band. You know, it was really social. It was very social. The CYO was a launching pad for us, really. You know, the one on First Street, and then the one on Cesar Chavez Boulevard, now Brooklyn Avenue, and Mott. right there. The Paramount Ballroom también was on
El
4th
Monte?
Street. El Monte Legion Stadium, man. That was like the
Memories of El Monte, if you guys don't know, it's a song also. That
Yeah.
place used
That
to
was
have
written-
hop dances.
It was written by Frank Zappa. Frank
Right.
Zappa wrote that song, Memories of El Monte. And that was the big time, man. Art LeBeau, that was a big time.
Those big shows, huh?
Yeah, those were big shows, man. I remember doing with the Midniters, and we backed up Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Oh, wow. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing, man. They came in from New York, right?
Fresh, huh?
With their fedoras.
Nice
and-
clothes.
Oh, bro, you know,
Everything shoes
cashmere,
shining.
cashmere overcoats, man, with their scarves and their gloves, and they sat there.
Style.
They sat there with us, right? They said, "Okay, we do this song in F," and he would give us the changes. And our guitar player George Dominguez, he already knew the songs, right? But he would play it like this. It goes like this, and they'd go, "Yeah," you know. So they dug us, right? We were ready for them, right? And that was a big time for us. And the headliners that night, besides Little Anthony and the Imperials, were the Four Seasons. Sherry, remember? Sherry baby, Sherry. That was them, man. So that was amazing, brother. That was
And you were still teenagers, too.
yeah, for young kids to be put in that environment and learning from these guys too, you know, like the area I grew up in, South Central. You know, there's a really huge. You talked about building bridges. You know, building bridges. That's what we did, man. With Don Julian and the Meadowlarks, Tony Allen, Jesse Balvin, Richard Berry, who wrote Louie Louie. All those guys.
They're all
Well,
from South Central?
Yeah, they went to Jefferson High School. That was just a few blocks away. I grew
Louis
up on,
Louis is big, man.
I grew up on 43rd Street and Long Beach Avenue, where the red car used to run. Cosmopolitan, brother. I mean, you know, downtown L.A., Long Beach Pike. You know, it was amazing.
Long Beach Pike, that's where the Laugh Factory is now. But back in the days, that place used to compete with Disneyland for
Yeah.
amusement parks.
Definitely. For a quarter round trip from 43rd and Vernon, we would get on the red car, the Long Beach Flyer, and you put a quarter in the little box right there. The guy would give you a token for the ride back.
Awesome.
25 cents, man, round trip. And then downtown, we take the Watts car, a little smaller trolley car, right into downtown on 6th and Main, right there to the depot.
So what Willie G is telling us right now, man, that in 1959 they had a better bus system and travel system than
We
they do
had
now.
rapid transit, brother.
They have rapid transit, people. We're going backwards now.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you could go anywhere back then? Like if you want to go to Long Beach to the Queen Mary from Boyle Heights, it could happen on transportation. on a
That's right.
bus.
You had the R car.
The R car.
The R car that ran through East LA, right up 6th Street, would take you all the way downtown, right? And then from there you would transfer to the Long Beach Flyer or the Watts car, and vámonos.
A lot of people from Los Angeles don't know that we had a trolley system and a subway system that was working a long time ago.
That's right.
And it was bought by the Michelin tires, right?
Yeah.
Goodyear.
Yeah, Goodyear. And Mayor Yorty, you know, did some deal with General Motors. And they brought the diesel buses in, man, and contaminated our city, you know, and ran it down, man. Contributed to the traffic congestion. You know, it was a bad decision. Just like displacing the people from Chavez Ravine, you know, and bringing in the Dodgers. They could have put the Dodgers anywhere in Los Angeles, but they had to come in.
They could have put it in Griffith Park.
That's right. And they took Chavez Ravine, man. You know, a lot of bad decisions.
Did you ever go there, that area, when you were a kid? Know that area?
Yeah, we had family that lived in
Chavez
Chavez
Ravine?
Ravine. Yeah, we did a project with Ry Cooter several years ago. Chavez Ravine, a Los Angeles story, and we got Don Tosti and Lalo Guerrero, and we wrote a bunch of songs that were indicative of that whole period, you know, and just to bring back, you know, because the Dodgers were thinking of building a stadium next to the Staples Center, right? They were going to build a baseball stadium downtown right there. And we began to ask them, well, what are you going to do with Chavez Ravine? And they were talking about building these multi-million-dollar gated community homes. And we shot them down, bro. We said, you can't do that, man. If you're gonna move the Dodgers, you need to give that land back to the families that were displaced by the Dodgers.
They were homeowners, huh?
That's right. There's film, man, of them dragging old grandmas, man, out of their cribs, man. Out of the pads, throwing them in the back of sheriff's cars, man.
And they all end up moving different places, huh?
Yeah. A lot of them, stayed in the area, Frogtown, down there. The Quintanar family, moved over to right off of Riverside Drive. A lot of them moved down there, Doris Place, down in that area. But Chavez Ravine, man, it was country, bro. I mean, it was
still country compared to the whole city.
yeah,
huh?
it was beautiful. And just over the crest right there, you could see City Hall. But you had this little like farmland and people carving out a living.
A lot of veterans live there too,
A
huh?
lot of veteranos, man, from World War II came home to there. And it was multicultural también, bro.
That's why when I look at old photos, I see black, Asian, and Latino people living there, and old white people.
Yeah. Well, you look at the northern end of downtown L.A., a lot of Chinese, a lot of Italian, your Filipinos, Japanese. I mean, it was amazing. We grew up colorblind, so to speak, because we grew up around all this ethnic diversity, German, Italian, Jewish. I mean, it was amazing, man. Nobody referred to each other as that Mexican family over there. They didn't. You referred to them as the Garcias or as the Ryans.
Or the Thibodeaux.
Or the Thibodeaux, or the Gaglianos,
Yeah.
or the Bagliazzos. You always refer to them, in a respectful manner. And you grew up like that. We learned how to respect life, property, values. It's cool.
So you started going on tour,
Yeah,
and all over the country, probably, huh?
all over the country we traveled.
With big tours, huh? With Art Laboe tours or
No,
tours
Art
from-
Laboe was regional. It was
Regional.
more West Coast.
But there was a bigger promoter in the Midwest, how that was booking all the big acts.
There were several of them. I couldn't name them all, by their names now. I forgot, But yeah, there was guys out there putting on some of the biggest shows, and of course, Alan Freed, if you went to
Alan Freed, that's the one I was thinking about, because he's the one that started putting rock and roll on the radio, and he was getting banned.
Yeah.
He also was taking a lot of bribes to put bands on the radio
Well,
too.
they called it payola back then.
Payola.
Yeah.
Now they have that here in LA too, but it's called pay to
iTunes.
play. Like before, in order to be to play the whiskey, to play these places, you would have to be known. Like you have to be the Doors or a hot band. Now you could just have a bunch of Twitter followers, 10,000, and just book the room
And sell tickets.
and sell tickets.
That's the way the
that's how they
promoters
do
do
it
it now. That's the way they do it.
Pay to play.
You wanna play here? They give you a handful of tickets.
Sell them,
And
homie.
it's like saying, I mean, we
Where's my
wanna-
bonus?
We want to play, man.
Where's our green room?
Yeah, we want to play.
So-
But anyway, that's showbiz.
So you're touring. You guys are starting off as teenagers, hanging out around with people who are in their late 20s now, early 20s, people who are vices and all that. And it goes back to that movie I saw with what's it, that guy, the blind guy,
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, and he goes into a room, and then they're doing drugs.
You don't want nothing to do with this,
You
Ray.
don't want nothing to do with this, Ray. Is that how it happened to you?
Yeah.
Or were you guys already smoking pot?
No. We were.
I could feel like you were new to all this. Like when I started like going back to being a comedian, everything was all new to me again. Like, oh man, they're doing powder. I can't do that. That's drugs.
What is that?
What is that?
In your nose. What do you mean?
What is that? Oh man,
Gacho,
I just like the way it smells. So that how you got involved?
It's something like that. You kind of watched from a distance, right? I actually, I watch guys, passing a joint in the parking lot at the Shrine Theater,
The Shrine.
and you're
Theater.
in the circle there, because you're on break or in between sets, and so you're hanging out with the guys, right? And they're passing it, and I would pass it, first couple of weeks.
I did that too.
The
They would
couple of
pass it to
weeks.
me, and I would pass it out. Here I am, 22 years old, just passing another joint. I'm just there talking.
And And so, I'm studying them, right? Because, you hear all these stories about the demon weed. They used to make these movies, with the cops chasing these guys in 49 Mercuries, and they're turning the corner.
A guy
you know,
shooting his whole family.
And the tire would hit the curb and the hubcap would fall out, and like 20,000 joints would fall out of the hubcap.
Who wrote this movie? The guy from the Herald Examiner?
Some communist guy. Anyway, but we would watch them from a distance, and I would just say, I don't see these guys acting all crazy, man. They're laughing. They were hungry. They always got hungry, stuff like that. So one day, I just, held it and said, okay, so this is the way they do it. And then I coughed for about a half hour.
Wow.
That was my first hit. I remember my first hit. But up till then, we never got high. The performance itself was a high. There was always enough time after the gig, and then we just drank beer back then. Country Club Stout, these little cans. They were little cans. Man, it was Country Club Stout. It was like a malt liquor. What they sell in 40s now. Back then it was just a little can, man.
Wow.
Got you buzzed. And it was innocent. A lot of it was innocent. We traveled like that. We, did our show. We tried to maintain, our dignity, and always put on a good show. And there was always, like I say, enough time to party after the gig. And we managed to do that for almost 10 years as the Midniters. And thanks to the fans, still today, they're still supporting and following our music. Art LeBeau still plays us on the Art LeBeau Connection. And, it's rewarding. It's really gratifying. My kids, now they inherited my record collection, so they know all the artists and the songs. And my son's a great drummer, plays in my band, Jacob G. Hey.
Jacob G, what's up, fool?
All right. And my son Philip's a great guitar player, composer. Both of them are really, really good. My daughters sing, but they got kids. But it's been a very, very gratifying life. And 1980, I gave my life to the Lord after battling drug addiction for several years.
You had cocaine?
Cocaine, heroin.
Heroin,
I
man.
became a heroin addict. And
This would happen before Malo or after?
this is after Malo.
So you were after the midnight. You went to Malo.
Right.
Did you start the band or you just joined the band?
What, Malo?
Yeah.
No, I joined the band. They had been around. They had already done three recording projects. The Suavecito album, then Dos, and then they had Evolution. The band was growing. You could see that they were.
You guys took a lot of liberties in your band, the Midniters, that people wouldn't do now. Like you guys were really hardcore. Like you wrote a song called Chicano Power.
Right.
Like nobody right here is running a song called Black Power or Brown Power. they kind of want we want to cross over what they want to do. But what made you guys? And then you wrote that song Whittier Boulevard. What made you guys write that song Chicano Power at that time? When nobody else was.
Well, the Chicano moratorium, and then the riots in the 70s, just prompted us. We had a lot of friends that were in Mecha and Mapa, East LA College and Cal State Long Beach, Cal State LA, very politically minded. We weren't politically minded yet. You know what I mean? I mean, we knew what was going on, but we always looked at ourselves as musicians. We weren't political in any degree. And our recording engineer, Bruce Morgan, his mom, she's the one that kind of like started nudging us towards it. Cesar Chavez was fasting and going through a lot of, to make the plight of the United Farm Workers Union known to people. And she says, how come you guys aren't writing songs about Cesar Chavez, right? And we were, it's Cesar. His name is Cesar Chavez, right? So all of a sudden we got Chicano, And so she said, y'all ought to be writing about that guy. He's doing a lot of good. So we did. We wrote a song, The Ballad of Cesar Chavez. And then shortly after that, the riots broke out. on East LA, in East LA, and we just did a song called Chicano Power. We just said, you know, let's get in. Let's get in with it, you know. Here we are. We can't change our identity, right? And now we have a platform where the Midnighters maybe, you know, we can be useful, you know, to the cause. And that's what prompted us to do it. We wrote Whittier Boulevard almost the same way because everybody was cruising.
People back in the days, people used to get on their lowriders and cruise Whittier Boulevard. Like, I'm not talking about it. If you want to watch it live in a movie, it's Boulevard Nights. They wrote a movie called Boulevard Nights. And so many other movies. But, man, they used to drive the cleanest car. And people used to borrow their dad's pants because they're the best slacks around.
That and
That's how Big
and
Pants
Pop's
started,
hat.
right? That's how Big Pants started, huh? Because people think that it's a cholo style, but now, man, it was a necessity.
It was
'Cause
a
back
necessity.
then, nobody would buy kids jeans the way they do now. Kids nowadays, they could buy 10, 12 pairs of jeans. When I was a kid, I could pick corduroys. But when Willie G was a kid, man, there was no money for kids to buy jeans. You wear shorts or you wear hand-me-downs. And if you want to look good, you got to wear your pop's closet. You got to go in your father's closet
That's right, man.
and look like
100% wool. Tramaos, man, pleated down. You know?
and his hat, huh?
Oh yeah, we used to get Pop's hat, man. Put toilet tissue inside so it would fit us. But we were clean. We were clean, man. And that's like you say, you look back at some of the old photos of the Midnighters, you know, we were always
In a suit.
peepity peen, you know, 3-piece suits and that. And we wanted to put our best foot forward. We wanted to really project an image, you know, that wasn't stereotyped, you know. And I really believe that that's what helped us cross over. Casey Kasem, Dave Hull, B. Mitchell Reed, all these disc jockeys, Sam Riddle, you know, that had us on their TV shows and that. They really liked us because we were versatile, you know, and we didn't project a stereotypical image, you know. We knew how to blend. We knew how to make people happy, you know. One of our first big gigs with Casey Kasem and Dave Hull was the Rendezvous Ballroom in Balboa Island, right here in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
Right, with Dick Dale and the Daltones, surf music. And here we are, 8 guys, you know, with perpetual tans. and the audience looking at us like we were spacemen from Saturn or something, right? Looking at us all weird. But as soon as we struck that first note and started playing music, they started dancing.
It was over.
It was
They were
over.
shining.
That was it, man. They wanted to chauffeur us home, you know. Or to
Other
their
ladies wanted to
pads.
take you home.
It was cool.
Other lady wanted to see Willie's G. Casey Kasem said one of his quotes was that you guys were like the best band he ever hired ever.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. These guys
Moving
really.
up 10 notches, there's the Midnighters with it's
Órale.
Casey Kasem, man. The Midnighters are the best band I ever hired, and I don't know why my wife keeps me in the closet. What's up, fool? So, man, that's a lot of partying, Willie G. From 1970s all the way to the late 60s to the 80s, and then you finally give up your life. What was your downfall when you just said, oh, man, when you were like Roberto Duran, no mas?
No mas. Yeah. I just, you know.
Age or the party is not a party. After a while, people don't know that, you know, addiction starts off at the party, but later on, when you're the only one in the party, it ain't no party no more.
Yeah, it becomes a necessity. And I just reached a point in my life. I didn't want to lose my wife. I didn't want to lose. Had 2 daughters, young daughters at the time. Very little career to speak of. My wife was working at Capitol Records, and I really believe the only reason I still managed to carve out a little bit of a life for myself in the show business was because of her, you know. And I looked at that. I started assessing my life and things that I'd done, and where am I going? What am I going to do? You know, what's next? And I really got suicidal. And it was a turning point for me because while I was trying to get the courage to take my life, uh, a really good friend of mine, Tony Garcia, a sax player from Salesian High School, played in bands with us in the Midniters. He called me, and he's the one. He didn't preach to me, nothing like that, man. I just sensed a genuine concern. You know, he was sincere when he asked me, you know, how I was doing. And I lied. You know, I lied about
I'm straight.
how great things were, right? And the interesting thing is, Felipe, he listened. You know, you grew up in show business. Most people don't call you to listen. They can't wait to tell you about what they're doing, right? And that this was interesting to me. He listened. He heard me out completely. And then shortly after that, he started just following up on me. And he's the one that actually introduced me, you know, to the Lord. You know, him and some of his friends, musicians.
Musicians.
Yeah, so God knew what he was doing. He knew how to hook me in, you know. And March 16th, 1980, that was the night, I went to a prison camp with the band, the Manny Arroyo Orchestra.
Manny Arroyo Orchestra.
Yeah, they were the guys that were playing. I said, "Oh, Noble, they're gonna go entertain the convicts, right?" And they invited me, and I told them that I would go if they would let me sing, right? And so Tony says, "Yeah, bring your charts, man, bring your charts." So it was a really great band. I really wanted, I said, "Man, I get another year out of my life with these guys at least, right?" And I was blindsided that night, man, because I heard my friends, guys I grew up with, you know, sharing their experience on coming to the Lord. And it was an awakening for me. You know, I realized that's what I needed. You know, what else did I have to lose? In 30 minutes, I was going to be going back to the same hellhole I'd been living in for 33 years. You know, when am I going to get set free? Right? They were talking about freedom, liberty, you know, new citizenship. It intrigued me. It all intrigued me. And then I looked at the prisoners, right? And many of them, they had a joy in their faces and their eyes. They had a peace that I didn't have. And I was wondering, how could these guys be in here locked up and look like that, look happy, look, you know? And I found out I was more locked up than they were. And that's a great motivator.
That is a good motivator, man. You were, even though they're locked up and they're smiling because you were there,
Mm-hmm.
you were more locked up in yourself than these people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep, man.
Yeah,
How many times I felt like that?
they had a sense of freedom. You know, one day they're going to get called and they're going to get released. They're going to get paroled or whatever, right? Probation, whatever. But me, I'm going to walk out of there in 30 minutes, right? To what? Back to the same old, right? And so the Holy Ghost got a hold of me, man. The gospel became alive to me. You know, I'm a firm believer that no one's ever the same, Felipe, after they've been exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ, because the Word of God is alive, it's powerful, it's sharper than any two-edged sword. It penetrates to the division of the soul, the spirit, the joints, and the marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. And in those words, you discover that God knows what's racing through our minds. He knows the burdens that we carry around in our heart on a daily basis. And there's a willingness on the part of God, God Almighty, there's a willingness on the part of God to enter into the human condition, into the human situation, and transform it forever. And that transformation process has been going on in my life for over 36 years.
Wow, you must have really opened up yourself and opened up your heart and your mind that day.
Yeah.
Because, man, that's a lot to take in one moment.
Yeah.
And you still have that joy with you.
Amen. Amen.
But you didn't have that before you walked in there. Did you feel like seeing them happy, this and that for a while, did you feel like, damn, I'm going to go back to my same old rut and start doing more drugs right now?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So many times I felt that way too, man. Like, I see joy in everybody else. Like, I remember I did a show at Victory Outreach, New Year's Eve, because I was hired by, him, Gilbert Esquivel.
Yeah.
Gilbert Esquivel, who's a comedian and a Christian, and he had his demon. He's sober. And this is true. I had no money that weekend. I had nothing else to do. You know, I needed this money just to get me through for 3 weeks of the beginning of the year, because I know that after 3 weeks I'm gonna have another show, and plus this show. You know, you as a performer, you add your money, you know, through these gigs, and I did the show, and everybody was doing their testimony about how long they've been sober, and here I am sitting down with my legs, you know, shaking my legs. I'm like, can we just get this over with? You know, I just want to perform and
get my money.
And go back to my loft I share with another loser comic and get fucked up. And I felt guilty the whole time I'm thinking this, because that was the plan. And at that moment, you know, there was a moment when I was in that church right there in what was I at? I was in Torrance. Yes, I was in Torrance, and I wanted to but I felt, I was just crazy. I felt more like a loser if I would have stayed there and started to be clean that night instead of leaving that night and going back to because I really wanted to. I killed that night, by the way. For everybody listening here, I made these people laugh, and they haven't jumped that loud since they met the gospel. But my comedy, you know, made them laugh, you know, and the pastor gave me a hug. He told me he had a guy drove me back home, as a matter of fact, because I showed somebody dropped me off. Yeah, my wife at the time dropped me off because she had to go to work. She had to go to work that night. She still had a life, you know, and she took time out of her time to drop me off at this gig, and I had no ride. And I remember one of the people there, this pastor had one of the brothers drive me all the way to the house. And I told him, no, can you just drop me off right here? And I knew right there that he knew that I was not going to go home that night. And he felt bad for me. He looked at me with his eyes like, all right.
Let me pray for you.
And he's dead. And then that didn't help. And I ended up going that place. Wow, man. So I can't believe that you were going through the same stuff that night.
Same stuff.
And a lot of times that happened to you, how when you didn't care, you went back to partying anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What made you stay this time, though?
Well, one, I tried to leave. I tried to leave when Bobby Loya and some of the guys.
Yeah, because you were looking for an escape route, right?
I went and sat way in the back of the cafetorium, right? They use it for cafeteria and as an auditorium. There's a joint there at Camp Afflerball, right? So I said, I'm going to sit way in the back so nothing that these guys say or do, you know, will affect me, right? That was the biggest mistake I made, man. Because as I sat back there with ansias to leave, and you know, I needed something.
The dope man to go to sleep.
Yeah, you know, and so I'm saying there's only one door, bro, and that's by the stage where the preacher was, close to where he was standing, right? And I'm like saying, oh, this is horrible, man. I should have just sat in front. You know? And so Bobby Loya, I remember he opens a door, and this guy's preaching. Preacher didn't even look at him, you know. They didn't pay attention. He just stayed on his thing. But I saw Bobby, and Bobby's looks in the door, and then he sees me, right? Our eyes lock, and he goes, like waving me, come on, you know. And I went, brother, you know, look at all these guys, you know. And he goes, shh, like just real quietly, you know, just walk along the wall, you know, and all that. So I say, oh, cool, I'm invisible, right? I told myself, I'm invisible. This is how invisible I was, bro. I'm wearing my favorite emerald green velveteen pants with the Mexican flag embroidered on it, a flamenco dancer with lightning bolts and music notes coming off of her heels, and my favorite candy apple red platform patent leather sandals. The kind you don't want to run out of gas on the freeway if you're wearing those, right?
Yeah.
And all you could hear, man, as I got up, this invisible entity now was whack, whack,
Your
whack, whack,
sandals.
was the platforms, man, whack, whack, on that concrete floor. But I got out, right? And I said, what's up? What's up, fool? and he says, hey, some of the guys got to work tomorrow, so, we got to head back, man. You want to help us load up? And I says, yeah, can I get a ride back with you guys? And he goes, oh, yeah, we got a lot of room. So, man, I'm already loading up the van for these guys, right? And I said, I'm going to get out of here, man, right? And I go to get in the van, and the guard stops me. And he tells me that I'm not on the list. I go, what do you mean I'm not on the list, man? I came in. He says, yeah, you came in, but you came in that car with those people, and that guy over there has your ID. I said, well, let me get mine. He goes, nope. He goes, there's policy. He started explaining to me the whole California penal system policy and procedure, right? Right? And so I couldn't leave, right? I watched my last chance of escape, taillights dimming in the darkness as they went down the hill. And I'm standing there, man. I'm just like looking on, orale, man. When am I going to get set free, right? And that's when Tony came out looking for me, man. I felt his hand on my shoulder. He scared the heck out of me, man. I turned around. He goes, what are you doing out here? I says, I was just helping the guys, He says, oh, man, come on back inside. No ni modo, And I walked back inside, and that's when I noticed everything had changed. When I walked out, all these guys were well-behaved sitting there, 70 prisoners, right? Or 71, including me, right? And most of them were standing up around the preacher with their hands up, and some of them were crying, some of them were smiling and jumping up and down, and I was like, híjole. I said, it was like day and night. And I said, what happened? Tony says, oh, the preacher made an altar call. I said, oh, what's an altar call? So he began to explain to me that these guys were going to ask Jesus to be their partner in life. And I never heard that term, right? I said, oh, that's interesting. I needed a partner. I needed somebody that could help me make it through, right? So I was intrigued by that, man. And I didn't even know I was doing it, bro. Tony says when he looked around, he saw me just walking towards the crowd with my hands up. I didn't realize that I was doing that. But there was such a need inside of me that, God just pushed me over there, man, to give it a try. And I did. And I was the type of guy who would try anything once, man. If I liked it, I did it again, right? My addictions were like that.
Mine too.
And so that night, man, I said, I gave it a try. And I've been liking it for over 36 years. Loving it, as a matter of fact, It's been amazing. Been amazing. God restored my marriage. My kids are serving God. We impact a lot of youth at risk, a lot of families in need, in high distress areas. We do that. I was telling my friend on the way over here, we're under the radar, but we have a lot of impact. We make a lot of impact. A lot of the police departments, a lot of social departments and that, they know what we do, and they really come to us. They come to us to help them in certain areas. And so it's an amazing thing. And I'm still singing and using music. It's a great attraction. Music is a great attraction. We still go into the projects, Ramona Gardens, Aliso Village, the Barrio Nuevo, the Estrada Courts. I mean, we go where the need is, where most people don't want to come out or can't come out for whatever reason. We go to them. Amen.
And you have a show coming up Saturday, December
31st, New Year's Eve.
Where at?
New Year's Eve, we're going to be at the Quiet Cannon with Tierra.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Tierra 1 or Tierra 2?
Anyway, just come and get dirty. We're
Yeah.
gonna get some dirt on us that night. But it's good. It's a good night to bring in the new year 2017 with LRS Exposure. I'll be there with my band doing all the songs you guys love to hear. Sad Girl, Town I Live In, Are You Angry, Giving Up on Love, Whittier Boulevard, Land of a Thousand Dances. I'm even going to do some of the songs I sang with Malo.
All
And
right.
then New Year's Eve. That's at the Quiet Cannon Event Center. They're at 901 Via San Clemente in Montebello, California. You can call 562-254-1609 for tickets. VIP seating, dinners included, $65.
Well, that's a deal, people.
Orale.
December 31st, Quiet Canyon. Willie G from the Midniters. And
Tierra.
Tierra. Oh, people, let me tell you right now, man. Not only are you going to get a good show for $65 and a dinner, but let me tell you, man, after the show, right across the street from the, not even across the street from Quiet Canyon, on the same side, just park on the side. There's a burrito place called JNS.
Yes.
And that place is good. Oh my
It's
God.
a landmark, man.
Oh my God. You know how it's good? Because it's made for people who like to eat late. Like sometimes you walk out of a club after watching Willie G kill it, December 31st at Quiet Canyon, you might say, man, I feel like eating a corn dog and a taco. They got it.
They got it.
I can't believe they sell corn dogs at 2 in the morning. And they got burritos, bro.
And a pastrami quesadilla.
Oh my, forgot about that. Pastrami quesadilla. Hey, when did pastrami get so big in East LA, man? But we have a lot of pastrami.
That's right.
We got Tommy's.
Ari's.
Who you here with, man? We got Boyle Heights page here.
This is George
The Animal
Verdugo,
Steel.
EastLA.com in the house.
So you're helping him promote the show?
Yeah, I'm helping him promote the show.
That's funny, man. You guys, I used to do comedy, and I used to go with my older friends to the Hop in La Puente. You ever do shows there?
Yes, sir.
I used to have a joke. I said, I love the Hop. That's the only place where you hook up with a mom and a daughter. Ba-dum-bum. Charlie, you get big shy girl. I get little shy girl. So you used to do all the big shows. I remember, man, like when we used to do, they used to have these big Cinco de Mayo festivals at Boulevard, Belvedere Park.
Belvedere Park.
And I remember when I was a kid, all my friends saw, but I didn't see him there. Paul Rodriguez performed there.
Yeah, they called it La Feria.
La Feria, right?
Yeah.
It was a big event.
Big event. Big event. I miss those.
Those like we had and then this show went on all the way even to the late 80s,
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
Because I remember that band was performed, that reggae band. They were Latino. They were big at the time.
Elijah?
Elijah, yeah.
Elijah. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, man.
He just took me back.
And
bro.
Paul Rodriguez, he was throwing tortillas to the audience. And he goes, hey, Mexican frisbees.
Orale. There you go. Yeah, we miss those. You know what they call them now? They call them concerts in the park.
Concerts in the park.
Yeah, and they're put on by
Or
Parks
music
and
in
Rec.
the park.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they have them in San Jose, too.
yeah. Yeah, they have them all over. We try to work closely with Parks and Rec, because they provide a great service for our communities. But they do that. They do that every summer. And we're doing one December 17th at Adventure Park in Whittier, in the city of Whittier. It's a food and toy giveaway that our ministry does. Willie G Ministries does every year. And we partner with Parks and Rec right there at Adventure Park in Whittier, California, December 17th.
December 17th. Maybe you could donate some toys, Lisa.
Yes, please.
Yes, people, donate some toys December 17th and tell them you're with the What's So Food podcast.
There you go.
Wow, man. Because I started doing stand-up comedy in the late 90s. And I met Rudy Moreno, East LA comedian. And I remember he had a comedy show on Thursday nights at Steven's Steakhouse. And that was a place also that used to
landmark.
perform. That was a landmark. Steven's Steakhouse, still around, people. Okay, Steven's Steakhouse still around, and you guys performed there too, huh?
Yeah, we've
That
done
was a
several
place.
shows.
That was the Hollywood Palladium of the East Side,
That's right.
and they still have bands there. And but there was another place that Rudy Moreno had with another steakhouse on Garvey by Caddy's. Oh man, I forgot the name of the steakhouse.
Yeah, that's a little
Victor's Steakhouse.
Victor's, but that's a little further north for us. You know,
Yeah.
we were thinking of the Pasta House.
The Pasta House.
Rudy's
wow.
Pasta House there on Olympic. Yeah.
I can't believe that I remember you used to perform at the Union.
Oh yeah, the big Union Hall in Vernon City, in
Yeah.
an industrial area. That was huge. That was huge.
When you started off, with the sound, that's known as the East Side Sound right here, was there other Chicano bands doing their own thing in other parts of the country, like maybe San Antonio or wherever there was Latinos, or Chicago?
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
you were big in Chicago, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They really liked us out there. But yeah, the Rationales they weren't actually from Chicago. They were from Michigan. But it's just across the bridge, not too far. But also, like you mentioned, San Antonio, man, Sonny Osuna and the Sunliners, the West Side Horns, from San Antonio, Latin Breed. There's a lot of great bands that came out of there. Freddie Fender, of course.
Sonny Osuna. Is he a skinny man with curly hair? And he ended up doing radio too in San Antonio?
No.
No? Okay.
No, that's not the guy.
All right.
There was a guy from El Paso, Steve Krosno, that was a radio personality and had a TV show, and I don't think it was his hair. I think he was,
Yeah.
I think he wore a rug.
And you also, I saw you on a show with a East LA guy, big guy. He had a show every music show. I forgot his name right now. On Local Access.
Mr. Durant.
Robert Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Durant.
He still does his shows, huh?
I think so. He's backed off a little bit because of his age and health issues. But yeah, he's still a
Taste of Texas.
Taste of Texas, of course.
I make tacos. Taste of Texas, another place where a lot of the Tejano bands
Yeah,
play.
they would come in anytime. Little Joe.
Little Joe and La Familia.
Yeah, Doug Shum, the Texas Tornadoes. Anytime those guys were touring, they would come through. They would do a show there.
So you play guitar.
For gas money, Keep
That's
the bus.
awesome, man.
Keep the bus on the road.
So many bands, man. I wish you had more time, man.
Oh, we'll come back.
For sure. Every time you want to promote a show, bro, let us know. We'll promote it for
Thank you.
Quiet Cannon, people. Go check out Willie G from Thee Midniters doing Thee Midniters songs and some Malo stuff. And Tierra, that's the Sala Brothers.
Yes, sir. Together.
Together forever.
That's right.
Let's see what's up. Let's find something good to take us out with.
Once again, thank you, Felipe, for having us.
Thank you,
on
man.
today. And George came in all the way from Kansas City.
From
Brought
Kansas
his
City?
boys.
Kansas City.
Kansas City, bro. I was there. I was there last year. I performed at the Kansas City Punchline.
Wow.
So next time I'm there, man, we got to get together so we could let people know I'm gonna be there.
Absolutely.
It gets freaking cold over there.
Yeah, well, right now it is.
Oh my God, bro! I don't know how you guys do it. That's
stay
your son
warm
over
with
there.
Bob-
My
Barbecue.
son's right here, yeah.
Both of those guys?
Yeah.
Nah, how old are you? Like 41?
No, I'm 50. I got 5 boys.
All right.
And a daughter.
I know, man. I have kids, man, who I gotta get a hold of someday. Oh man, let's go on with some Midniters, people.
Thank you. See you guys New Year's Eve at the Quiet Cannon. 562-254-1609. Tickets.
That's you, huh?
That's me.
Let's see.
1967. Every time I give a girl all the love that I have got, she breaks my heart and then leaves me in tears. It's such a shame, but it's been going on for years. Why won't they admit it? Just give in a little. You can't make ends meet by leaving love.
Where's my notes?
Out the middle.
What's up, fool? Willie G, people? Hell yeah! Have a good weekend. December 31st, Quiet Cannon. Show some love. Go check him out. Also, thank you very much for my albums here. Hell yeah. God bless everybody. Let's do a photo now.